Hey, welcome. Today we're going to talk about something really important, the journey of healing from narcissistic abuse. And we're going to go beyond the usual ideas of forgiveness or revenge to focus on what I think is the most powerful final stage of all, true, genuine indifference. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so to really get a handle on your healing, we have to start by understanding their world. Because the entire dynamic, every confusing argument, every moment of pain, it was never really about you or something you did wrong. It was all driven by their deep, consuming terror of their own emptiness being exposed. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to walk through 5 key stages. First, we'll unpack the narcissist's hidden fear. Then we'll look at the trauma bond that keeps you stuck. After that, we'll spot the signs that you're waking up, learn how to reclaim your power, and finally, we'll talk about the ultimate goal, the freedom of indifference. Okay, first up, their hidden fear. Look, to let go of that heavy weight of self-blame, you have to realize you weren't living in reality. You were living in their reality, a world they built just to protect themselves from who they really are. And here's the crazy part, the real irony of it all. The narcissist actually chose you because of your gifts. They saw your warmth, your empathy, your light. But that admiration was completely poisoned by this deep, corrosive envy. They wanted what you had, but they could only ever fake it. They could never truly feel it. So how did all that fear and envy actually show up? Well, it probably looked a lot like this. It wasn't just random meanness. Every time they criticized you for being too sensitive or too emotional, that was just envy wearing a mask of superiority. They created chaos just to feel like they were in control, and they constantly managed you to make sure you never, ever saw the empty person behind the curtain. So you can see how this whole environment, it's designed to trap you. Now we're going to get into the mechanics of that trap. It's what keeps so many people stuck, often making them confuse the intense chemistry of addiction for a genuine loving connection. And there's actually a name for this. It's called a trauma bond. And listen, this is so important. It is not a sign of weakness. It's a straight-up psychological addiction. Your brain literally gets rewired to crave the person causing you pain, just hunting for that little hit of approval, kind of like a gambler pulling the lever on a slot machine over and over. This whole addiction gets wired into you through this really predictable 4-step dance. It starts with idealization, right? You're the best thing that ever happened to them. Then comes the devaluation, where they start picking you apart. Then the discard, where they push you away. And just when you think you're out, they hoover you back in with apologies or love bombing. It's that roller coaster that creates such a powerful, confusing bond. So I really want this to sink in. That intense feeling, that wasn't love. It was a chemical addiction created by the chaos. The bond feeds on those tiny little breadcrumbs of kindness that make you forget all the toxicity. What felt like passion was actually the feeling of being trapped. But then something starts to change, right? This is the turning point. This is all about those first little signs that you're waking up, when that thick veil they've put over your eyes starts to become see-through. So what are the signs that this bond is starting to break? Well, you might start noticing a few things. Your gut feelings get stronger. You start to see them for who they really are. Their little guilt trips and manipulations just don't hit the same way. And ironically, when you stand up for yourself, they often get worse, which is actually proof that their old tricks aren't working anymore. Suddenly, you realize you want real freedom more than you want their fake peace. I love how Chris Reese frames this. It's not about you becoming a bitter or unforgiving person. It's about your discernment being sharpened. You're just starting to see things clearly. Not so you can punish them, but so you can finally protect yourself. It's like you're being called back home, to yourself. Okay, so once that light bulb goes off, the question becomes, what do you do? This next part is all about the practical, hands-on tools you can use to really break that bond and start taking back your power. Dr. Armani has this piece of advice that is so simple, but it is an absolute game changer. Just stop saying, "you make me feel," and start saying, "I feel." Think about it. The first one hands them all the power over your emotions. The second one takes it right back. It's a small language shift that creates a massive internal change. You know, a lot of people feel guilty about going no contact. They worry they're being just as punishing as the narcissist was, but they are worlds apart. Their silent treatment is a weapon. It's impulsive and designed to control you. Your no contact is a shield. It's a deliberate, planned decision for your own safety and your own healing. It's not about punishing them. It's about protecting you. And all of this work, all of this healing,
it leads you here, to the final stage. And it's not about anger or revenge or even forgiveness, really. It's about a quiet, settled peace. It's the incredible freedom that comes from true, unshakable indifference.
Because look, the goal isn't just to get away, it's to build a life that's actually authentically yours. Just like Dr. Ramani says, it's about living in a way that aligns with your own purpose. When you become that rooted in your own reality, their chaos just can't find a place to land. And that right there is the foundation of indifference. It's not that you're actively ignoring them, it's that you're so busy living your own authentic life that they just don't even show up on your radar anymore.
And this is my favorite part. This is where you get to flip the script entirely. You realize that every criticism they ever threw at you was actually a confession of what they envied in you. You weren't too sensitive, you have high emotional intelligence. You weren't too emotional, you were accurately perceiving a toxic situation. You weren't too needy, you had normal human needs. And you were never, ever too much. You have always been exactly enough.
So if you take away one thing, let it be this: you were never the problem. You were the solution they just couldn't handle. Your sensitivity, your light, your authenticity, those were never your weaknesses. They were your strengths. So class is over. The real question isn't about them anymore. It's about you. Who are you becoming now that you're free?
If this resonated, you aren't alone. Subscribe to join the space where we decode them together. I'll see you in the next one.